All right. Shooter. Input manager. Yeah. These are okay. This is just, I use the same name sometimes for the input parameter. So you have to qualify either with scope or with the deref on self. And filter entity may not respond to add size. No. These should probably be casted. So 234 mic entity. Last shot entity. Last shot entity. Good old last shot entity. So where is last shot and entity taken care of? So when we add the buffers, they go right to last shot entity. And what does last shot entity look like? Starts off as nil. We should probably no, not saying anything. Starts off as nil. We keep a ref here in start input, and for some reason we don't retain it. And then in end input we release it. Why don't we retain it? Instance. What is that? Okay. I see. So when we start input, that's when we begin spitting out an entity with add entity. But that's managed. Okay, this might be the problem. This is weird. I don't know why there's not a release here, and I make this comment. I could be going crazy. That's probably what it is. And I do stupid stuff like this when this always should be retained. Why did they have to make that word start with the same two letters? Lock and unlock. That's much better because it's at the end. Okay, so yeah, basically we want it set up so if we do a retain, we do release, we do a retain, or there's an init call or something, or an alloc init with or something. Okay, so let's just check. There's a retain, there's the release, and it's not released or retained anywhere else, and those get called in pairs. Alright, because the game state will release it once it goes to the end, once it exits the game. So that's when it hits an exit object. So that might be it. Let's try. Anyway, what was the original error? It was something like 234. It says that this is a filter entity. Is it a filter entity? Last shot entity? Because it doesn't sound like a filter entity to me. What is it? Mic. No. Yeah, mic entity.h. It is a filter entity, but it probably should be a. Don't we create that thing? Start input. Yeah, see, we create it, and we init. Oh, okay. This is where the release happens. I take that back. Yeah, whatever, you can have that comment. We don't need a retain because we init alloc init the class. Shucks, that would have been so nice. So what we can do is just say last shot entity is a voice entity. Voice entity, yeah. And we will need the at class voice entity. Is there a semicolon? I think there's no semicolon. Semicolons won't hurt you. Usually. There's exceptions to that case, like if you forget the brackets. I'm not sure what I meant by that. In if statements. Alright, let's try build. Yeah, you do need the semicolon. Alright, so there's a few less warnings now. Now I want to check that this thing gets, when we deref it, we should not have the reference anymore, and that's good. There we go, we release it. Every time we use it, we should check. Yes, we're checking. Yes, we're checking. I'm not sure what that is. Last shoot time. Okay. So this looks okay to me, as much as I hate to admit it. No problems there, so that's not our issue. So going down the list, next one we want to look at is voice entity. Control reaches end of non-void function. Yeah, these are worth looking at. So that says line 41. Okay, I don't know what DLX is supposed to return. Just read. This is interesting. DLock has not a return type. Isn't that weird? I'm supposed to call... Yeah, well, I gotta look into that later. This is, I mean, I'm pretty sure that the message dispatcher just does the right thing and is calling the dealloc, even though the signature might be wrong. It's surprising how little documentation there is on that. Well, let's look at this guy. I've seen this guy's blog a few times. It's probably helped me out. It looks like void is the correct one. So it might be a good idea to do a global find and replace for dealloc and replace with void dealloc. I could do that. I probably would be better off just writing a Perl script to do that. Yeah, anyway, for now, I'm just going to make a mental note and move on. Unused variable snd, unused brightness. There's also that game state there. Yeah, maybe this needs to be handled. So which is this? This is voice entity. Yeah, voice entity. So dealloc. How about void dealloc? Yeah, maybe that stuff wasn't being called. That's totally possible. And we need the H file. So let's get the H file. No dealloc, because that's already there in the parent. That's probably ns object call. Alright. So the other one that has that is effect entity. Yeah, it seems like only the guys that I recently did have this dealloc issue. Yeah, so let me actually do a find mm on that. Dealloc. So it's like this, right? Dealloc. Find mm.dealloc. So yeah, it's only the guys I recently worked on, which is pretty scary. And anytime you have a dealloc, you need a super dealloc ending it. So scary stuff. Find H dealloc. Do I not have a find H? Cat